Welcome to the Fit for Business Life podcast, brought to you in partnership with Sharp Fit for Life and the Business Body Network, improving the performance and transforming busy or overweight professionals, business owners, consultants, and their teams to become fitter, happier, and more confident. The Fit for Business Life podcast is all about sharing passion, knowledge, and expertise around business and personal performance. From our hosts, myself, Martin Sharp, a 30-year change maker in businesses large and small, and Dominic Furness, a world traveller and life enthusiast, plus special guests sharing their know-how, experience, and making changes in their businesses and themselves. Featuring inspirational stories, insights, tips, and practical knowledge, bringing more healthier, happier, and higher achievement to your world.
If you are enjoying this mini Kilimanjaro podcast series, why not follow the podcast? We're live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We very much appreciate all of your support.
So sit back and enjoy this episode of the Fit for Business Life podcast, brought to you in partnership with Sharp Fit for Life and the Business Body Network.
Right, moderation on the mountain.
Moderation. So let's talk about that rest, relaxation. Feels really weird. How can you talk about rest and relaxation about a mountain?
Yeah, on a 7-day exhibition. Please pronounce that for me.
Expedition.
There we are. Pretend I said that.
Yeah, we'll pretend you said that. Because, it's 7 days when you're climbing up. Let's face it, this is the world's tallest freestanding mountain. It's the tallest mountain in the whole of Africa. It is one of the 7 summits of the world.
Yep.
So this is not a small feat.
No, definitely not. So my first question is, how many, not rest stops in the day, I'm going to come to that later, but how many camps are there to sleep at?
Oh, crumbs. There's loads. Well, there's different routes you could take, and each one of them have different types of camps in there.
Okay, so what route did you take?
So we took the Machame route.
So on the Machame route, how many camps are there to sleep at?
Well, there's
on the way up.
We didn't do all of them,
Okay.
but we stopped at Machame camp,
Yep.
Shira camp, Barafu camp, Karanga camp, Barafu camp, which is our base camp for the summit,
Okay.
and then came down to Mweka camp.
So Barranco camp on day 5 had the sleep, went up, came down. Then did you have another rest, like a nap or something?
No.
There and then continue, or do you just completely bypass it and go down to that last?
We kind of bypassed it, went straight down to the last camp, and the key reason for that, again, was all about that recovery period. Because when you're up at high altitude, your body is under stress. I mean, don't be mistaken by the fact that just because you're stopped and you're resting, that is the best and most restful sleep you can have. It isn't. Your body is still under stress because there's not enough oxygen in the atmosphere. You've got the different altitude pressures, etc., that's happening to your body and things. And all this means that your body is under more stress than it would do. So even if it has adjusted and you've had all that adjustment to altitude, bringing yourself down to that lower camp, so you go below that high altitude threshold, which we did with Mweka camp, meant that you get a lot more oxygen into your body, which means you sleep better, you rest better, and most importantly, you recover.
Well, that is a really good insight. I didn't even think of, because I was going to ask, do some people stop at that higher up camp? But that makes so much more sense to just bypass it and sleep lower down, where you're getting a better quality of sleep.
Yeah, well, there is another camp in between. So there is one called High Camp, which we passed through on the way. And some people do stop there. And if our party had taken longer to get up and down from the summit, we probably would have stopped at High Camp on the way back down.
Okay.
But that means you're not going to recover quite as well or quite as quickly. So even though it was an extra couple of hours on a very long day, it was so much more worth it to push for those couple of hours to get down. But had it been, for example, it had taken us maybe 14 hours or 16 hours to summit and come back to Barafu camp, then we would probably have only gone down to High Camp.
Right. But yeah, luckily you did it in that amount of time. So it's just some rest is better than no rest, but it's better to work a bit harder in the day if you can be time efficient and get the better sleep at the next camp. Because it's to draw a bit of a parallel to having alcohol in your system. I know we've discussed it's different, but you might, if you've had a few beers or something, you might think you've slept really well because you get to bed and you basically just pass out, but your quality of sleep is so bad, despite feeling oh right, I'm ready for this, let's sleep. I guess if you could push through that, like drink more water and sober up a bit, and then go to bed, you're probably going to have a better quality of sleep. So
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of analogy does work because again, at the high altitude, you do need to make sure you're taking in plenty of water. Things like it can affect how you feel about thirst. It can affect how you feel about hunger. So you can actually find that your appetite just disappears.
and are these things that you noticed, or were you a bit too in the space of like just keep grinding after your altitude sickness? Or did you
Um,
actually notice like my hunger's different, my thirst is different?
No, I didn't suffer from kind of any lack of hunger and things. Some of the members of the party did kind of see a decrease in their appetite.
Mhm.
Some people were finding that even though they took 2 liters of water, they were only maybe drinking half a liter or a liter. And while a liter is probably okay for some of the hikes we were doing, you'd be better with the two. Again, there are some differences that people will feel. For myself, no, I still drank the water and still had a good appetite. So those things didn't actually affect me in that kind of way.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So that kind of side of things with regards to the making sure you've got that happening with your body, I think is the same, for example, as your alcohol kind of analogy there. And same with, for example, that recovery period, because again, well, you definitely sleep better than you would do if you'd had alcohol. You do not take alcohol onto the mountain at
No, no,
all.
I was just using that as just a
Yeah.
thing of like making sure you get good rest, and like having not
Yeah.
enough oxygen is giving you bad rest, even if you probably think, oh, I'm getting good rest, you're not.
Yeah.
That was all.
Yeah.
That was all.
But you've got to remember as well, people do adapt, and entire societies adapt. If you look, for example, down in South America, it's Peru. Cusco is actually at high altitude. The whole entire city is at high altitude.
Right. Okay.
Or in Nepal, when you look at, for example, there's many people that kind of live at high altitude permanently and for their entire lives.
And the body just adapts to the lack of oxygen.
Exactly. So their body adapts, their lungs, their heart, etc. They get more used to pumping more, being able to extract more oxygen from the limited amount that's there. They have higher amounts of hemoglobin in their bloodstream, so it's like carries more oxygen with it because it binds with the oxygen and things. So
Yeah, and I have heard stories of like good professional athletes coming from higher altitudes, because when they come down to normal altitude, where somewhere like the Olympics would be hosted, they perform a lot better. But then
yeah,
they can equally perform fine at their altitude, but then it's almost like getting a boost when they come down and have a lot of more oxygen hemoglobin in the blood.
yeah, that's what's part of the theory between high altitude training is for many kind of athletes is to go there and being able to do that. And those adaptations do carry forwards. It's going to be interesting to see, for example, in 3 weeks, well, it's 2.5 weeks time into it now, how I perform at the Yorkshire Marathon, because that my adaptations that will have happened while I was in Kilimanjaro should still be there in my body. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll see.
we'll see if I get a sub 4 hour, I might actually attribute it to high altitude training.
And what date's that? When's your marathon run?
19th of October.
Right, 19th of October. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, 2.5 weeks. Exciting.
Yeah, so definitely exciting. So kind of touched on obviously where those kind of camps are. Trying to get a good night's rest is obviously crucial. I mean, sleep we've talked about before on the podcast, and just it's just so essential for life. I mean, if you look at any kind of symptoms that most people have, the number one thing that would definitely remove them and improve their position is actually getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, so I'm curious. You said in a previous episode that on when it came to summit night, day 5, then at that camp, you didn't sleep very well because you were just super excited. Now, do you think that affected your altitude sickness in any way, or are they just not related? Or maybe even having like more cortisol allowed you to push through when you were just like each step was making it worse, like, or you just unsure about that because you've only experienced it once, you've got nothing to contrast and compare it to.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm unsure about that. Interesting, look, the God Living did make a comment to me. He said, "You didn't rest, did you?"
Right. Okay.
So
So perhaps
there is a possibility there that
that's
there is
a
a
possible
direct link.
correlation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of going to put that one on the possibly maybe pile.
Yeah. On the question, I mean, if you know the answer, please leave it in the comments. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. But again, I think altitude sickness does affect different people in different ways. So to say that's definitely going to be the same, I don't know. And looking back at everybody who climbed, I think there's maybe one or two people that managed to get a little bit of sleep between having dinner and actually making the climb itself. Um, so the vast majority of the team that did do the summit didn't sleep.
Right, not didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, and out of those, not all of them suffered from altitude sickness. So
Right.
I think if you took again, it's a very, very small sample set, but if you kind of took that as
Yeah,
the sample set for this trip, it would kind of indicate that no, there's
no
potentially nothing
correlation.
there. But I think it's going to be more personal.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, interesting that like other people like struggled with rest on that last night as well.
Yeah, and again, throughout the entire trip, different people may have struggled with sleep in different stages. So, for me, the first night in Machame camp, no problem. I slept like a baby. It was just perfect.
Mhm.
But the second night, when we got to Shira, which was a much higher altitude, I did kind of feel problems. So I got up around about 11 o'clock at night. I literally felt like there was an elephant sat on my lungs. It was
Oh
just
gosh.
awful. So I got up, had a wander around, came back into the tent, into my sleeping bag, etc. As soon as I laid back down, I had the same kind of feelings again. And then I kind of remembered actually, if I just elevated myself, maybe that would help. And so I popped the entirety of my duffel bag, which had all my clothes and things in, as a pillow, literally behind my torso, behind my shoulders, my neck, my head. And that made a big difference. Straight away,
Right,
could
fantastic.
sleep instantly well.
Well, that's good to know for if anybody goes on that expedition and has that problem. It's good insight.
Yeah, so that kind of worked for me. I'm not saying it necessarily going to work for everybody, but I did the same thing then for the remainder of the camps while at high altitude and no problems. And by the time I'd been at high altitude for it's like 3 nights, so by the time we finished at Barranco camp, I felt fine. In fact, the following night when we were in Karanga camp, I slept like a log, absolutely all the way through, no problems whatsoever.
That's amazing. So you'd say overall your rest on the mountain was sufficient?
Yeah, because if you remember when we're looking at the statistics, what my body was physiologically saying according to the Aura Ring and the Apple Watch, by the time I'd finished in Karanga camp, which was 94, um, I was super. Everything was absolutely saying I was well rested, I was well adjusted, and my oxygen saturation was good. So I was in a position where I actually felt great.
Right, well, that's amazing. So we'll move the topic of conversation onto socializing and people for that to remain on the topic of the moderation piece. You said in the past episode that you not worked out, but you stretched together. Like, how much did you find that the camaraderie of the people there helped the trip?
Oh, 100% beyond a measure of a doubt. And not just the camaraderie of the people doing the summit climb, but for everybody in the team. It was so important. And it's great to kind of touch on this from a moderation point of view because a lot of people kind of think about the rest and recovery side of fitness and physiology. But actually, from a mental health kind of point of view, there's a massive amount that we get from socializing with people, the improvement in things like serotonin and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and that can have as big a boost, if not anything else, than having like the rest. So being able to have those great times where you're having a good chat with people, you feel relaxed, you feel comfortable, you've kind of all shared an experience together. So again, that kind of creates bonding while you're doing that. And by the time we'd kind of finished the entire trek, I mean, we'd gone from, practically everyone being strangers right at the beginning to being, I would say, lifelong friends. There's people there that I'm already in contact with that we're planning what the next thing is going to be. I've all been invited to go do the Kerry Way in
Wow.
Ireland.
Oh, that'd be good.
I've been invited to go to a hurling match and witness some of the Gaelic games and all sorts of things. So it's you've just created such great bonds in such a small amount of time. And when you think about this from a business perspective, when you're trying to do some sort of major changes, everyone knows about the standard kind of process: forming, storming, norming, performing kind of route that teams take. If you can shortcut that by actually giving people a real experience together and saying, actually, no, this is something where you're going to make a massive impact, then when they can take that same set of feelings, that same set of understandings that I just created, those same bonds I've created with people back into the workplace and actually make that work even better for them as well.
Yeah, that's a very good thing to say.
Yeah. So I think from a definitely socializing is a big thing when you're on the mountain. And again, it's not just within, I say, your little group or even within your caravan of people, because got on really well with the porters, with Peter, the chef, everybody just
Yeah.
had a really good chat with. But then everybody else. So as you're kind of walking up the mountain, you've got other caravans of people kind of coming up. So other porters are kind of going past, and everyone kind of shouts "Jumbo" on the way up. You have a bit of a laugh with them. We talk as they're going through it. You'll have other groups and other nationalities. We had groups of Americans and Canadians and other Europeans. We had people from Russia. We had people from China and Korea, and everyone's kind of friendly. Everyone's kind of got the same kind of focus. It's all about, how can we get to the top of this mountain? How can we achieve what we're looking to try and do? And it's such a lovely kind of atmosphere with everybody there.
That does sound like an amazing atmosphere of a lot of camaraderie, and as you were saying with, like, your business analogy there, like, everyone's there for the same goal, the same purpose, so good to lift everybody up.
Definitely, and it kind of gives everybody that reason for being there. And you've also got something in common that you can also have a chat about. So if you're all in the same area for having a tea break or something, then everyone's kind of talking about the same types of things. You've got something in common that you can quickly talk about and strike up a conversation. And again, you can find out so much about why people are doing these walks, or what it is that they're looking to try and achieve as well. What other kind of adventures have there been on?
Yeah, and what's their motivation sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. No, and I noticed that on the when we did to bring up again the National Three Peaks Challenge, like speaking to other people on the way up about their motivations, like everyone's there to do the same thing. So I can kind of like picture the kind of scene that you was in, but obviously it's the much more strenuous act, and like I think even that pressure would bring even more like camaraderie to the situation. So that does sound very nice.
Yeah, definitely beyond a measure of a doubt.
Fantastic. Right, what do you want to talk about next? I'll throw the question card to you.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about things like sleep. We've talked things around socializing and stuff. The other thing is think about that whole de-stress type of element of it.
Like a bit of detox.
Exactly. So if you can imagine, we're on a mountain, and the only thing you've got to do is you've got to get yourself from A to B safely.
I'm back to A again.
Oh, eventually, yeah. But each day, for example, it's just A to B. So, for example,
Oh, I
Machame Camp to
understand.
Machame Gate,
Got you.
Machame Gate to Machame Camp, or Machame Camp to Shira Camp. And it's a very clear, that's all you've got, one objective, very simple. And it's amazing how liberating that feels.
I can
You don't
imagine that,
have the
having some actual direction.
yeah, you don't have the 5,000 emails coming in. You don't have the 30 odd calls you get per day. You don't have the various interruptions, etc. It's just you, your feet, and just get to that position.
That does sound good. Nice breath of fresh air, even if there's not much air to breathe.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, but you've got no connectivity with the outside world because the internet access was only sporadic in very small pockets.
Right,
And
okay.
even when you did have it, it was incredibly slow.
Guess this is the case until Musk gets his satellite over.
Well, I'm sure if I'd done the Starlink thing, I could
Yeah.
definitely get access wherever. But the fact of the matter, I didn't, and having that ability to have a complete detox in some respects was just fabulous.
Yeah, I bet just that whole break was just so good.
It was, and not only that, but it was a case of as we're going through the process of it, the walking itself was very cathartic. So you kind of get up in a nice kind of rhythm. You kind of see the thoughts come into your mind. You can kind of acknowledge them, interact with them, decide what you're going to do about them. And in many cases, it's just kind of well, actually, right a second in time, it's not important. So you push it to one side. You come back to what is important. The bit that's important right at this moment in time is just getting yourself safe to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, no, that I can see that.
Yeah, so that was kind of a really nice, cathartic, it's like time really. Just a nice relaxing detox, just taking yourself away from everything. As you know from what I tend to do anyway, I'm so embedded and so connected with everybody that actually even when I have been away on other occasions, people can get hold of me if they need to, and they
Yeah,
have
but
done.
this was a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, with this one, they couldn't get hold of me, and that causes a level of angst as well for people at home. So I know, for example, speaking to Sarah, she didn't hear from me for like 2 or 3 days while on the mountain, which she knew was going to happen. But at the same time, because we're constantly always in communication all the time, it was like radio silence for 2 or 3 days. What's going
Yeah,
on?
I guess it just feels unusual. Like even if you're prepared for it, it's like, like still wasn't expecting this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it might not necessarily be you that's getting the rest from it. It's also the other people around you. So it's kind of preparing everybody to say, okay, no news is good news. and understanding
Yeah.
that, when I can get a message out, I will get a message out. And say, for example, if you're out on those trips, it's going to be the same for you when you can get a message out. And I remember when you were doing Southeast Asia, it was very similar. We may get a message maybe once a week or so.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess from different standpoints of motivation there, but yeah, I was just too busy to think to do that, I think.
yeah. But and again, it's just understanding that actually not hearing anything is perfectly okay.
Yeah, and I've had that experience, where was I? In Australia on some kind of no, like, I wanna say the Whitsundays, not the Whitsundays, and I wanna say Magnetic Island, it's not Magnetic Island. Can you remember the other one that I did?
Cairns,
No.
Brisbane,
Nah, these are all cities, I need to go on islands, I can't remember the name of the island, but it was actually it had on it the world's only rainforest on the sand, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that place, hopefully the name comes to me in this podcast, it's rather frustrating. That had no signal, and that was like a 3-day trip, I think, to have like absolutely no communication with my phone, and it was just quite like yeah, liberating to be in that position. So I kind of understand that as well.
yeah, I don't think it was far from the Whitsundays, that one, because it was about the same times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't far from the Whitsundays, but I just can't think of the name of it.
Oh, it'll pop back into your
It
mind
will, it will.
in that moment where you're not really thinking about
I'll
it.
shout it down the microphone if it does. Yeah.
So yeah, so let's think about it
I've
from a
remembered it. It's Fraser Island.
that's it, Fraser Island.
I got
See?
there in the end.
Told you, stop thinking about it. It always comes. But that's the thing, you're in this kind of nice, relaxed state, and actually, that was brilliant because I just completely unwound.
And that has been a long time since you've been able to do that.
It has.
A long, probably never since they invented the computer. Well, not the computer, but social media.
So that was a real treat. Was that just being able to disconnect, unwind, just be me, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. Definitely
And
gonna
I
do that.
suppose it allows time to be in your own head, have your own thoughts. Because it's not like you've been there like, oh, yes, like no one could contact me. Like I imagine you still want to speak to these people, still want to hear off these people, but probably just nice to reflect on like the nice times you've had with those people. And then like when you can communicate with them again, it probably feels amazing. And just having those constant thoughts are probably quite motivating to get up the mountain as well, because you're just kind of lost in your own mind and taking each step.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, because you've got loads of people around you anyway, it's not like you're isolated. It's
No,
this
yeah,
is
that's true.
you've still got that companionship and camaraderie, etc., that goes along with having a team with you.
Yeah, having conversations with new people like face to face, nice and refreshing.
Yeah, definitely. So that was kind of cool. So that's kind of taking a that kind of slow down, that kind of restful kind of approach to it, and thinking about it from that perspective. And so no, the de-stress side of it, and then thinking about it from a slow down kind of perspective. You are just literally just doing the one thing.
Yeah,
So
and then yeah, like getting into camp, like it's so the walking day is quite slow by the sound of it,
mhm.
and then you get into camp and you're saying in the past episode like the porters will sort your shoes out for you, like you get all your gear prepared for the next day, and then like you're going for that meal and having the conversations and then getting to bed. Like it's all quite a rest, like it's quite a strategic, restful routine compared to the normal chaos of life that can be quite like as much as you want to dial it in, like things do crop up, but with that you just do that, and that is the routine, and it's just smooth and relaxed all the way through, it sounds. Not I've not experienced it personally, but from what you're saying, that sounds like that is the case.
it is. I think there's a thing called African time in this as well. So I kind of went to
Is Africa time different to cowboy time?
it's a lot slower.
Okay.
So everything just takes time. For example, before going on the mountain, we were looking to get some money exchanged, and it literally took about an hour of paperwork in a bank just to change dollars to local Tanzanian shillings. So it's nothing happens quickly. So my kind of thoughts when I was planning out doing Kilimanjaro, I was thought, we'll probably have an hour and a half each evening, maybe try and get a podcast episode done with people. And it just doesn't work
Yeah, a
like
bit of an
that at
unrealistic
all.
expectation that, yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of go up, you do the walk, and it doesn't matter whether you're walking 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours that day. Um, you do the time that you need to do to get to the position where you need to get to. And then once you've kind of completed the walk, it's then you're into the routine of getting yourself cleaned up, getting yourself ready for either tea or for dinner, etc. Having that meal, having that time to chat with everybody, the briefings for the next day, but it's all done at a really slow pace. Nothing's kind of rushed through it. And again, it's really refreshing to take the time to actually enjoy these moments, because there's nothing else that A, you can do, or
Hmm.
B, that you'd want to do.
Yeah, no, that does sound really good. Hadn't thought about it from that point of view, but yeah, sounds good. That.
Yeah, so it's a completely different kind of pace, being on the mountain, not only for the movement side of it, but actually the pace of life in the camp as well. It's not a there's no rush. Everything is kind of nice and steady, and again, the whole idea of it is to just get you ready, get you prepared, so that when you get to the position of doing that summit night, you're in the best position you possibly can be to do it.
Yeah, and that's quite a good lesson for life, really. Just trying to like slow things down a bit and get in that position where you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
Definitely, because it's the one thing that I find working with busy professionals that they don't do is they don't take the time out for themselves. I
So they
mean,
just crash from pillar to post, pillar to post, pillar to post without
yeah.
slowing down.
I mean, we've already talked about the fact that sleep is usually one of the first things to get sacrificed on previous episodes.
Mhm.
It's sacrificed on the altar of busyness, as they say. But also, it's the case of you just crashing between one calamity and the next one, or one deadline to the next one, or one client issue to the next one. So it's always something kind of going on. So actually, when you've got a position where none of that exists, you can just literally slow down and just enjoy the pace of life. It's really nice to take those moments and make it happen. And actually, how can you then replicate that when you come back to normal society? How can you actually then take some of those lessons and think, actually, how can I create moments, even just simple everyday moments in life? So, for example, in a previous episode, you mentioned about having your coffee moment, that 15, 20 minutes, nothing's switched on. It's just you, cup of coffee, and relaxing. You're kind of
Yeah, and the
chilling out.
exciting thing about that at the moment is I can have a Tanzanian coffee if I want to. I have been having that in the morning, but I should have one at that time of day.
I wonder who brought you that back.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of covers us for moderation. So as always, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody for taking the time out to listen to this episode of the Fit for Business Life podcast. The Fit for Business Life podcast is brought to you in partnership with Sharp Fit for Life and the Business Buddy Network, helping busy professionals and their teams become healthier, happier, and higher achieving in business and in life. If you'd like to join us as a guest or get in touch to know more about the topics covered, we'd love to hear from you. Simply email hello@sharpfitforlife.com. So once again, thank you for listening to the Fit for Business Life podcast. The Fit for Business Life podcast is produced and presented by Wax Time Limited. Copyright is a blank.